The sun beats down on me like a malevolent fist, pounding my skin with its relentless heat. July 23rd, 2025. It's a day etched into my memory like a branding iron. I'm driving down Powerline Road, the rural roads twisting like a snake through the Iowa countryside. My cruiser's sirens are blaring, my heart racing as I respond to the 911 call. My radio crackles, dispatches voice a steady stream of information. Possible multiple vehicle collision, Snell Creek Road, Davenport. Reports of serious injury, possible fatalities. My gut twists into a knot, adrenaline coursing through my veins like liquid fire. I round the last bend, and my world goes white. The crunch of gravel beneath my tires is drowned out by the cacophony of twisted metal and shattering glass. A twisted mass of wreckage sprawls across the intersection, a mangled heap of cars and trucks. My eyes dart, taking in the scene. A sedan crumpled like a tin can, its doors ripped off like they were made of paper. A pickup truck lies on its side, its wheels spinning wildly in the air. I leap from my cruiser, boots pounding the asphalt. My mind is a blur of calculations, assessing the situation in a split second. I spot movement, a figure trapped beneath the wreckage. My training kicks in, and I sprint towards the sedan, my heart pounding in my chest. I can feel the heat radiating off the cars, the acrid scent of smoke and gasoline hanging heavy in the air. My thoughts are a jumble. Stay focused, deputy. Get to the victim. Secure the scene. But my mind is screaming one thing. Get to them before it's too late. I remember the screech of tires, the crunch of gravel beneath my boots as I approached the scene. My heart's racing, sweat forming on my brow like a cold sweat. The air's thick with the stench of burned rubber and something else. Something metallic. The acrid smell of blood. My gut's churning, my mind already racing through the possibilities. I see it, a crumpled mess of twisted metal and shattered glass. A mangled Honda Civic, its rear end crushed, wheels askew. My eyes scan the scene, taking in the devastation. I spot them, two figures, slumped in the passenger and driver's seats. My gut tightens, a knot of dread forming in my chest. I know I'm about to see something that'll haunt me for a long time. I approach the car, my eyes locked on the driver. Bilodeau Mendez, a name that's been etched in my memory for years. A name associated with evading the law, with reckless abandon. And now, he's at the center of this tragedy. I see the lifeless body of a young woman, Haiti Maricela Funes Inestraza, 34 years old, a passenger who was simply along for the ride. I feel a wave of anger, of helplessness wash over me. This could have been prevented. If only Mendez had been caught. If only he'd learned to respect the law. My mind's racing, replaying the events leading up to this moment. The 911 call, the frantic screams of a witness, the sound of sirens in the distance. I think about the family of this young woman, the loved ones she left behind. The thought sends a pang of sorrow through me, a sense of responsibility that I'm stuck with now. This is on me, on my department. We failed to stop Mendez, to prevent this tragedy. The weight of it's crushing, suffocating. My mind still replays the scene like it's on a loop. I'm standing in the dimly lit interrogation room, Mendez's smirk etched on his face as he spews his fabricated story. The air is thick with tension, the weight of our investigation bearing down on him. I can feel the sweat trickling down my spine, my heart pounding in my chest like a jackhammer. I glance at my partner, a seasoned detective with a no-nonsense attitude. She raises an eyebrow, her expression a silent question. Can we trust this guy? I nod almost imperceptibly, trying to keep my emotions in check. We've seen it all before. The desperate attempts to cover tracks, the lies that unravel faster than a thread pulled from a sweater. As I listen to Mendez's version of events, my gut's screaming at me that something's off. The way he talks about the deceased, like she's the villain in a twisted game of cat and mouse. I recall the look on his face when we arrived at the scene, a mixture of fear and calculation. He knew we'd be looking for him, but he was banking on his alibi holding up. My eyes lock onto his, searching for any glimmer of guilt. His gaze falters, just for a fraction of a second, before he recovers with a smug smile. I jot down a note on my pad, my hand moving with a life of its own. My mind's racing ahead, anticipating the evidence we'll uncover, the truth that'll shatter Mendez's web of lies. The game's afoot, and I'm ready to take him down. Little do I know, the real fireworks are yet to come. My boots crunch on the gravel outside the precinct, the fluorescent lights above flickering like a strobe in my eyes. I'm still reeling from the events of the past 24 hours, my mind racing with the what-ifs. Mendez, the driver, he's not just any suspect. He's got a whole new level of trouble written all over him. My gut twists as I scan the documents in front of me, the words blurring together like a bad handprint on a crime scene photo. Undocumented immigrant, driving without a license. It's a whole different ballgame now. The anger starts to simmer, a slow-burning fire that's going to take a lot to extinguish. I can feel my blood pressure spiking, my heart pounding in my chest like a jackhammer. I look up, my eyes locking onto the district attorney, his expression a mix of determination and disgust. No valid DL involving death, F2. He spits out the words like they're venom. Giving false information to law enforcement, F3. My mind starts to reel, trying to keep up with the charges, the consequences. This isn't just about a traffic stop gone wrong. It's about a life hanging in the balance. I feel my thoughts racing, my mind jumping back to that fateful night, to the split-second decisions I made on the side of the road. What if I'd made a different choice? What if I'd let him go? The questions swirl in my head like a vortex, pulling me under. I take a deep breath, my mind snapping back into focus. I'm a deputy, not a judge. My job's to get the facts, not to make the law. But it's hard to shake the feeling that this case just got a whole lot more personal. I stepped out of the cruiser, my eyes scanning the dusty stretch of asphalt where it all went wrong. The spotlights from the crime scene unit cast long shadows on the ground, making it feel like the scene itself was twisted in a macabre dance. Mendez, our suspect, sat in the back of the cruiser, his eyes fixed on the ground, a mixture of guilt and defiance etched on his face. The investigation had been a whirlwind of interviews, forensic analysis, and surveillance footage. It wasn't until we reviewed the dash cam footage from the responding deputy's car that the scope of the tragedy became clear. The images still haunted me. The young woman's car careening off the road, the sound of shattering glass, the screams that never came. As I walked towards the family's makeshift shrine, I could feel the weight of their grief. A sea of candles, flowers, and photographs surrounded a small wooden cross with the young woman's name etched on it. Her mother's eyes met mine, and I saw the weight of her sorrow, the desperation to make sense of the senseless. What am I supposed to tell her? I thought to myself, my mind racing with the impossible. How do you explain to a mother that her child's life was cut short by a reckless act of violence? The community would demand justice, but for what? Would it bring back the life lost? The question swirled in my head like a maelstrom, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just scratched the surface of a far deeper wound. The air was heavy with the scent of smoke and grease from the nearby diner, but I couldn't smell a thing. My senses were numb, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the tragedy unfolding before me. I stood there, frozen, as the reality of the situation began to sink in. This was more than just a case. It was a family's shattered dreams, a community's shattered trust. I recall the weight of my badge digging into my chest as I stood outside Biladu Mendez's trailer, the crunch of gravel beneath my boots the only sound breaking the stillness of the night. The PCSO and IC agents fanned out around me, their faces set in determined lines. We'd been tracking Mendez for months, gathering evidence, following every lead, and it all came down to this moment. My eyes locked onto the trailer door, where Mendez's lawyer, a slick-smiling man with a reputation for getting his clients off scot-free, was trying to reason with our team leader. I could see the fear lurking behind Mendez's eyes, the desperation to escape the noose that was tightening around his neck. My heart was pounding in my chest, the sweat trickling down my face as I thought about the families whose lives Mendez had destroyed. The tears I'd seen, the shattered dreams, the broken lives. It was all coming to an end, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were missing something. That there was more to Mendez's story, more to his crimes, than we knew. The pieces didn't quite fit, and I couldn't shake the nagging doubt that we were about to uncover something even more sinister. As I watched, Mendez's lawyer made one final plea, his words falling on deaf ears. The PCSO and IC agents moved in, their voices firm, their resolve unwavering. I took a deep breath, my hand resting on the butt of my gun, and stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. This was it, the moment of truth. The curtain was about to close on Biladu Mendez's act, but I knew that behind it, there were still secrets waiting to be uncovered.